Hi everyone, I'm Marian Davis and I'm the Development Officer for Irrigation Management, but this week I'll be continuing on our series looking at planting. Planting's our most expensive and complex operation, and it's vital we get it right. We're not planting just for this crop, like in an annual crop, but also for the following returns. So good plant establishment now will give us good return crops in the future. The keys to planting success are planting at the right time, using good quality seed, planting at the right depth, and making sure we've got good fungicide coverage. Over the last couple of weeks we've looked at getting the importance of good quality seed and getting clean seed to minimise disease risk on farm. And also last week we looked at cutting a good billet, what to look for and how to do it. This week we're going to look at the planting process itself. So we've cut our good billet and the next step is to actually get it into the ground. Now there's a range of planters out there. Most people these days are billet planting, but there's still areas that have quite a large amount of stick planting. And you can either use a disc opener into a preformed bed or a plough front into the flat or a preformed bed. It really depends on what the grower wants to do themselves. Whatever system's used, we want to have a good quality seed bed we're going into. It doesn't have to be too fine. We are planting a billet. It's quite a robust seed source. But equally, you don't want big clods that are going to make your seed soil contact poor, and that'll affect your germination. As we approach winter, it's also worth remembering to check your soil temperature. As soil temperatures drop below 17 degrees, germination becomes really slow. And the longer it takes for cane to germinate, the greater the chance there is of disease actually getting into that stick and affecting the germination. That leads us into fungicides. All cane should be treated with fungicide. Pineapple set rot can really destroy your planting establishment before you even begin. If you're using sprays, it's really important to make sure that both ends of the billet are covered and the whole stick. If you're using a dip, remember to change the dip fairly frequently. With billet planting, you're putting a lot of trash and dirt into that dip, and that will certainly reduce the effectiveness of the fungicide. As mentioned earlier, we want to plant into a good seed bed and ideally into moist soil. If you're not planting into moist soil, you'll need to water fairly soon after you actually put cane into the ground. In this situation, this grower's hoping that he's actually going to be able to get these billets up, or this cane up, on stored soil moisture, so he's not planning on coming back to water. The next thing to check is that we've got sufficient soil coverage. Generally we'd say 25 to 50 mils of moist soil over the set is sufficient. Once it starts to cool down, you might want to put a little bit less cover on, especially if cane's going to be watered, because the watering process will cool the soil around the billet down. Also, quite often here in the Burdekin we still plant in a furrow and water over the top, and you certainly put a lot less cover on those billets because the water will pack the soil around the billet quite hard, so you'll get good contact. Where you're going into a preformed bed, you can probably get away with a little bit more cover because you're not going to be coming back to hill up later on, so you need that bit of depth at planting itself. Press wheels can also be used to help improve soil to set contact, but they're not a reason not to have a good seed bed. Putting a press wheel over dry, cloddy ground and pushing dry dirt around the stick is still not going to make a good germination. You need to have moist soil around those sticks. So finally, just to sum up, our key points with planting are plant at the right time. It is better to wait rather than to put cane into cold soil and risk germination and disease issues. Ensure you've got good quality planting material. Have it checked by your productivity services before planting to make sure there's no disease issues with it. Ensure you've got good fungicide coverage, especially in this cooler weather. You don't want any disease getting in. And finally, make sure you've got good coverage, but not too much, and that the cane is in moist soil and has soil around the set.